They lived in the same house, worked together 6 days a week, kept their money in a joint bank account, even thought together, Wilbur said.
That's Wilbur Wright, born in 1867. His brother Orville was 4 years younger. And as every school child learns, the Dayton, Ohio duo became the first people in history to successfully pilot an engine-powered airplane.
They had this passion, this mission. They were obsessed to succeed.
But though their plane is proudly displayed at the Smithsonian's Air and Space Museum in Washington, historian David McCullough still believes the Wright brothers are underappreciated.
Every time they went up in this motor-driven airplane, they were risking their lives. This is something that cannot be overemphasized.
So, in a new book published by CBS's Simon & Schuster, McCullough, who has won 2 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 National Book Awards, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, wants to reintroduce Americans to the Wright brothers and present someone else. There's a Wright sister.
Yes, her name was Catherine, and she was something. She stood about 5'1", and she was a powerhouse. This whole porch they built, the brothers
This
built
whole gingerbread effect,
Yep,
huh?
It's exactly what...
The 3 siblings lived in this house, now preserved at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. Their father, Milton, was a clergyman. Their mother, Susan, died of tuberculosis in 1889. 2 older siblings left home to start their own families.
The house had no running water, no indoor plumbing, no electricity, no telephone, but it did have books, lots of books.
Wilbur was planning to go to Yale when an accident changed everything.
He was hit in the teeth with a hockey stick playing hockey when he was about 18 and knocked out all his upper front teeth. And he retreated from the world, not going out to do much of anything ever, for 3 years.
He ended up opening a bicycle shop with his brother in 1893. They even designed and hand-built their own brand of bike.
If you were coming in to buy a bicycle from the Wright brothers, you'd come in this door, and you'd come over here, and Wilbur or Orville would wait on you.
But in their spare time, the brothers became obsessed with the idea of another form of transportation, flying, reading everything they could find about previous experiments. What was the public view of flying at this point? Was it considered a possibility?
It's impossible. Human beings can't fly, won't fly, ever fly.
Still, the Wrights started building flying machines right in their bicycle shop.
The wonder is that they did everything, not just themselves, but did it here and did it so well.
Starting in 1900, with Catherine managing things at home, the brothers would ship their contraptions to the gusty, isolated dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. There's such a wealth of material here.
And the wealth of material is also representative of their really serious interest in photography.
Their photo collection is now kept at their namesake Wright State University in Dayton. It shows how they started with gliders, which often crashed, finally designing a biplane with an ultralight engine hand-built by one of their shop assistants. Success came on December 17th, 1903. This is probably, as we say, the money shot.
Yes, that's one of the most famous pictures in history. And there's Wilbur running at the side, and Orville's taking off for the first time in all of history to fly, and he's only going to fly 120 feet, and he's only going to be in the air 12 seconds. But they knew immediately after this was over that they could do it, and they were onto something.
And that's where the story stops for most of us. But here, in a cow pasture on the outskirts of Dayton, is where David McCullough says the Wright brothers really invented the art of aviation, testing larger and more powerful planes.
Fly
They
figure
learned
eights,
to do
everything.
figure eights, all of that
And
right
land
here.
and take off.
Meanwhile, the federal government was spending $70,000, a fortune in those days, on this so-called aerodrome, which crashed in the Potomac on takeoff. And no one in Washington seemed to care about what the Wright brothers were accomplishing on their own dime. What happened when they wrote and tried to get the federal government involved?
They were turned down. In fact, they had the door slammed in their face.
But the French, obsessed with aviation, took notice. In August 1908, huge crowds gathered to watch Wilbur Wright take to the air over the town of Le Mans.
They went wild, and he was a hero instantly.
And the federal government finally says, aha, when they see that other nations, particularly France, are interested in this
exactly.
contraption.
They woke up. They finally realized, oh, maybe we ought to take a look.
So Orville is commissioned to show his stuff in a series of flights at Fort Myer outside Washington. He is breaking all sorts of speed and endurance records when on September 17, 1908, he is assigned to take up a U.S. Army lieutenant named Thomas Selfridge.
They went up, and Orville crashed, and young Selfridge was killed. And he was the first fatality of a passenger in an airplane ever.
Orville is badly hurt, but nursed back to health by his sister Catherine.
She saw how terribly damaged he was, emotionally, physically. To her, it would be a miracle if he ever walked again, let alone flew an airplane again.
Orville Wright would indeed fly again, and Catherine would go up too. The Wright brothers, who never married, became national heroes. Wilbur died of typhoid in 1912 at age 45. Orville would live until 1948, often accepting honors for what he and his brother accomplished. Their lives a symbol of the power of imagination.
What a testimony to human determination and ingenuity it is. And a profoundly, profoundly American story.